All right, cyber traders, welcome on back here. This is Monday afternoon, tax day, April 15th. Great to see all of our students and members just joining us here, rejoining us otherwise. Normally, hey, heading into a Monday afternoon, we normally don't have a runner like this. So a lot of us just rejoining us, pardon us, right here, heading into this afternoon. Just let me get a quick sound check to begin, make sure all of us could hear me loud and clear just on the microphone. Got Michael right here, loud and clear from him. Typically, if I got one of us, I got all of us, right? So all of our students rejoining us here in chat. This INDO trade is flying. So we'll talk about this trade to start. All of us back on YouTube, Facebook Live, all of our social media streams alike at Cyber Trading U as well. Just see the pop up on the lower left. If you're not followed to any of our streams or platforms, do that right now. At least you'll know when we're going live each and every day of the week. But with that said, INDO, I mean, it's been a phenomenal push back from Friday last week. I wasn't really as focused on it going into the morning. Just, you normally don't expect to see continuation so easily, but off the initial pop at the market open today, we started to call it out, and then really from there, it made a better push in the early afternoon. Right, just looking at this chart. Now tomorrow we'll be doing our workshop traders talk. We'll have a chance to go over this a little bit more in depth, at least like trade analysis, Q&A. So with that, at least, hey, if you see right now the stock is breaking new highs, but even just before, 580 was a pretty strong level just earlier. Needed to see it, I mean, not just re-break above it, but flip it into support. And just a moment ago, it did. So I took half my trade out just a moment ago. We said 580 to 620, and then it's still pushing right now. We'll see if this can, hold up here heading into the afternoon. But I'll definitely start by putting the INDO back on our watch list here. Good trade from Friday, good trade from today. And it's also not just that. I mean, hey, if you're Leda, if you're Grant, Michael, a lot of us actually, I can call out by name. This only, I think, was just like, a couple years back. But INDO is a stock just maybe a few years back. We did pretty well on, right? Back in early 2022, right? Not too long ago, right? I mean, we say in relation to day trading, hell, even 30 minutes feels like an eternity, right? But in the grand scheme of just, hey, this is not our first rodeo on this stock. We traded it back then. I'm sure that we traded it back like in between on like one of these larger volume spikes here, but I mean, definitely making a nice run now. So, going to put this on our list, but even here, I got to be careful on the rest of my positions. Make sure this continues to hold higher lows, continues to hold support. 21K order on the bid actually as we're talking at 635. So, that in its own could be a price to watch here coming up for support. Ooh, this is nice here, looking good. All right, now the other trade I was calling out just before this meeting started, it was the long Everin trade. I joke around with my guy Brian here in chat. Lagavulin, right? The whiskey, the Scotch whiskey. But this ended up making a nice pop earlier today. Did well on it in the morning session. It died off way earlier though than you would expect. Way earlier than that 10:15, 10:30ish, reversal time. So that part was a bit unfortunate. You took half out a little early in the run, and then you wasted the second half as it pulled back down, just pulled right back towards, those two lines there, really 280, 278 here. Support became resistance, still acting as resistance right now. But just recently, I'd called this trade out off of Fausto's level, the lower of those lines there at 258, 260. He was mentioning that earlier in the morning. It was a good support level then. Well, it became resistance. I'd called it out off that price and got in from there. So I don't mind putting this on our list for now. If I get shaken out, break even just on this position coming up, and it craps out just as I go through, I'll pull it. But it's got a good book. It's cheap. It's moving back up at least for right now. Trend back up for the time being here. All right, so man, that INDO is already at 650. That thing is flying. I want to make sure that we could finish up so we can get back to that trade as well. But let's go right from top to bottom here. See what we could add to our list here now. KAVL. We got to talk about this at least early on. This had a good push. It got actually halted at one point. You could see popped and got halted for like 15, 20 minutes even at that, and then ended up reopening up. Now, from here, though, again, this is something we'll talk more about in our educational workshop lined up tomorrow, 11 o'clock Eastern time. All of our students, you folks know that best. But, really, this is where we'll have the chance to put this under the microscope a lot further. I'll show you really where I ended up jumping in on this trade with my student. At this point, though, it ended up essentially going from what, like $5 up to near 10. All right. Well, even if you got in from round six, still some good money out there, right? So that's basically the hint that I'll give you. But yeah, ended up making that pullback shortly after. Failed to actually hit $10. Made lower highs after, and then you can just see the volume dissipate here heading into noontime. So you know what happens when the foot's taken off the gas pedal there, right? It's not just going to stall out; it's going to crap out. So yeah, this trade's I think done for the time being. KAVL, another runner that we had back a number of years ago, maybe even last year it was, could have been. Ooh, all right. So I forgot about this trade. The HUBC. HUBC had a phenomenal push here today. You could basically say off of these lines I drew, right? This was actually from last week. So I was a little lazy this morning. This was not drawn this morning. It actually goes to show that even last week's levels still play out extremely well as support resistance. Ended up holding big print level 154, broke above big iceberg level 165. And again, the rest is history. Ended up flipping that into support, moved up nicely from there. And just before, at least, I was on a couple of coaching calls in the early afternoon, but I was chatting our students here as well, like, because of it. Just looking at some iceberg levels right off of 205, 210 on the offer on the sell side. So that created resistance, and from there now just shook back down pretty quick. So yeah, I mean, this stock not only did it make a good move today, it's been making a pretty good move from Thursday last week, Wednesday last week, you could say. I'll come back to it if we need to, but I feel like this could be more exhausted now at this stage, at this point. Okay, what is this? YYAI, Conexa Sports Technology. That's the name of the company. I'm not going to act as if I'm familiar with this trade here. So ended up making a little push earlier this morning and then even a higher high now. If you look on my level two, that's where you could actually tell the spread. So for right now, it's got a decent penny spread. I'll fix my matrix in just a little bit for everyone there, but otherwise, I'll add it. I'll add it. I mean, a little skittish myself just because I've been doing this long enough. Unless if it's an IPO, that's one thing. But seems like the stock was trading all from last year, and I'm not really too familiar with this company, so it's probably some low float, low volume junk, but it's making a nice afternoon push. That's what we care more about at this time of the day, right? For the next 75, 80 minutes to go. All right, we keep it pushing though for the time being. This DXYZ has been all over the map from the last week or two. Another new IPO. We don't really care too much for the IPOs as much, so I ended up just dying off pretty quick. Made a hell of a pop, I guess you could say there too. But we got easier trades to make money on. That's all I could say there. Onvo, ONVO, good pre-market push this morning. Looks like an ugly chart now. Good pre-market trade the stock had. Good order book at the time. Now it's a little bit, opening up, but maybe I'll get back to this one here. PROK. I actually skipped over MPW, so look at that next. But yeah, PROK. It's trying to move back up, making a similar little move as the long Everin LGVN, right? It was up earlier today. It's bouncing off at $2 now. Yeah, there's a case for it. I'll come back to this trade, like I said earlier, some of the other sideless stocks. I'll put this just on the back end for the time being. SESPRZO. This had a good setup earlier, but it's pulling back. Resistance held perfect here, pretty much right off of 130. I was saying maybe later in the day it could try and retest, go. Just held under after. That was it. That was it. So we keep it going here. Now, hey, if INDO is popping, the hope is to see certain trades like HUSA here make a nice little go at it too. This stock popped, made a hell of a move on Friday. You could just see a long down wick, popped up pretty nice though. Take a look at the other energy companies. Like it's not really so much sector related. It's maybe like one or two here or there. So for the time being, HUSA, it's like only up 6% now. I guess I had a big shake just before, but I'll kind of pair it with INDO. I like the INDO a lot more, obviously, as I'm in that trade. This thing is still pushing up really nicely. You can just tell right now it's over 650, 660 right now. All right, run it one more time. This scan here really quick. See if there's anything looking good on the gainer side. I wouldn't really expect so much just because I know the market's been dumping off across the afternoon. UVXY, UVIX, the VIX ETFs trying to make a little pop again. This LABD was a nicer trade though. That was back from Friday afternoon, right? Biotech bearish ETF. So, once again, hey, it's not like it's always perfect where markets drop, this goes up. This is its own sector ETF. So it's not always perfect like that. But today and Friday, even, well, it's been treating us pretty nicely. So this one will make the cut. I like this Lab D trade for right now. Just broke a higher high. There we go, number 26, I reckon, there on the gainer side. So uh, you know what? How about this? Pun intended. I will save us some time and hop over to the losers list here for the time being. Lita, that is as creative as you will probably find me. But let's see if there's anything else that we could add to our watch list. I certainly am not good enough to make those riddles, but yeah, that MRNS. Wow, this thing has been dropping off still. I mean, you'd figure for it to be down as much as it was in pre-market to get a dead cat bounce eventually. Yeah. Uh, don't hold your breath too long, right? So this stock actually is easy to borrow on my platform, maybe because it was over $5 just before this morning. That could be why. You know what? Shoot, this is an interesting trade to me. I'm going to put this on our watch list and notice how I phrase that. It's not the, as I like to say, not the CTU, you must trade this stock now list. No, this stock's making lower lows. This is still a good short, but if this ends up beginning to make a higher low, pop back, there's a case for the dead cat bounce. And then otherwise, you know what? You can't expect too much on this trade. Not like it's, bound to make a 30-cent push down to a dollar. That would be a grand slam home run. But hey, if you could eke out another 10 cents on this on the way down, know your worth. That's really all I could say there. Really quick, INDO pulling back, making a big shake back down for the time being. So really quick, just on this trade, just because I'm doing this meeting right now, I just jumped out, got out at 627. Make sure 625. All right, that's fine. We will resettle afterwards. It just pulled back under this line here. So the hell with it. We will get our next trade off on INDO soon enough. It stays on our list. Obviously, it's number one on our watch list here for the time being, but I just saw that on the bottom right. Look at my trade manager. I'm like, all right, I'm losing a little profit right there. Let's just get out on the second half. We're happy either way. We don't want to lose it all, though. All right, so MRNS will make the cut for the time being. Now, again, I got to go through this with like a fine tooth comb because, there could be some good shorts that are down big percentage wise. But honestly, I'd rather focus on some like quote unquote name brand companies, DJT, just for the sake of Donald Trump, name brand in that regard. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to borrow. It's not trending down as much now. Maybe bound for a bounce, but I think, is this breaking all time lows? No. Oh, that's right. It was the DWAC merge, so it's not like IPO-esque. There's a lot of data on this chart, but yeah, I mean, we're not going to really do too much on this trade really at this point. Got Coinbase down a lot. I see. Let me actually filter this out by volume just one last time. Maybe I got to do that there quick just to get some other trades. Yep, there we go. A lot more popping up now. There's Rivian. Wow, at 844. So it's hard to borrow from me on TradeStation. Just double check to see if you can get the shares like located, but uh doesn't hurt us. Doesn't hurt us to add a Rivian stock, one that we're familiar with. This stock has been breaking all-time lows since Thursday of last week. Good trade, and if you get a bounce in the market, maybe, but follow this on the way down more so than anything. Good short. Oh, with that in mind too, how about Tesla? Right? I mean, this has been a great short in its own off of 165, the line on my chart that you see there. Well, bottom line here, but rebroke below support. Easy move. I'm going to add Tesla. I'm going to add Tesla to our watch list down near 5%. Actually, like right on the cusp of 5% right there. TSLL ETF. Obviously, this, you could pair it with it pretty much. Michael saying DOST at the low of the day. Yeah, I mean, that's not a bad looking chart, not bad looking order book, and when I say not bad, I mean good. That is a good looking order book. So, for right now, I could put this on our list. This is where I'll tell you though, market's dropping, so there's probably a few trades that could look like this. I'm going to do one last call, see if there's anything else that looks like even better as a short, maybe even better as a long. Who knows? See KAVL popping back up again, right? Think that we said we'd come back to this like if we needed to. It's on the way back up. It's trying for right now. So, last call. If there's anything else across the board, up or down, just a like, let me know here, folks. Got a bunch of earnings coming out this week, too. And we'll post that coming up just afterwards. Scott saying MSOS with news counter trend, though. Ooh, that's a big pop, yeah. Let's just see Benzinga. Fausto will be on Benzinga's platform actually coming up at the end of this week. I don't see any news out myself, Scott. I mean, I'm sure there is. I'm just saying Benzinga, I don't see uh, any news from them just yet. And there's got to be news when you see this type of pop, this volume come in. So, uh, for right now, let's see what ACB, CGC look like. These do not look too good. They popped, they pulled back, both of them. Yeah, so I'll pass on these for now, but a good shout, though. Good shout from one of our students here in our room, Scott. Worth a while to check out at least there. Um, Apple not doing a whole lot. Coinbase obviously down big. You could put that on your watch list for the time being if you follow the more expensive stocks out there. CLSK flipping 15 into resistance now. Ended up stopping me out on a trade I was in from earlier. All right, so you know what? I don't see much else that really anyone had called out otherwise. If there is, we'll focus on it afterwards around 3:15, 3:30. I like that TOST from Mike. I'll slip that on our list here too. There we go. What did we say? One or two more, right? We said PROK you get back to there. Hold back. Yeah, this isn't looking too good right now. It honestly kind of looks like a inverse head and shoulder, or it looks like a regular head and shoulders there. Pardon me. So, I'm going to pass on this trade. All right, so we got a few good trades though. I mean, we got a couple on the way up, a few on the way up actually. INDO, we got the LABD trade on the way up. That's actually inverse to the market there, so not even just the stocks. We got the market altogether that we could follow. But hey, on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, etc. A couple of options here. We have our workshop tomorrow. We'd appreciate it if you folks join us there, and of course, if you're a student. You got that inside our live trading room. You get the full rendition inside our live trading room each and every week. So of course to be right there. But if you're on social media joining us, just a couple of options. You could actually just follow us at Cyber Trading U just on social media, YouTube, namely. That's actually where we host all of our education, all of our videos, namely there. And then otherwise, just if you scan on the top left with your phone, if you're fancy with your phone, with your camera, get you inside our trading room for a week-long trial. Just test the waters out there, see if this is something that you could relate to, something that you see yourself doing over time. All right. But otherwise, best of luck trading going into the market close for everyone. And I'll be back on myself. Just give me about 15 or so minutes. I'll be on like pretty much right at 3:05, maybe a minute or so afterwards, folks. All right. Talk to you.